Welcome to all of you that are here this morning and are joining us by way of Zoom and by way of recording. Those of you on Zoom, we will mute you for a moment and we'll connect again later. We thank you for all of you that have come today. It's a blessing to see you and feel your presence. I am your pulpit assistant this morning, and I'm best known as Shirley Angel Love. And so today is May 26th, 2024. It's hard to believe. Here we are, almost completing May. I don't know where the time has gone. We have a few announcements, few opportunities for the week for you to choose from. Early Birds meets every Sunday morning, either by Zoom or by joining in the fellowship hall. We are just about to complete our book on knowing who you really are. And today we're blessed to have our sister, Reverend Kamatara, again with us from Albuquerque. And it also says here we have an updated directory, and that's over in the fellowship hall. And that's a good way for you to have telephone numbers and addresses. Our upcoming speakers will be Dr. Edward next week, and then Reverend Sandy on the 9th, it says. On Thursday evening, we have not been meeting for a couple of weeks, but we're going to begin again this Thursday evening. This is also available to you to come to the fellowship hall or to join by way of Zoom. We're planning to have a labyrinth located out here at the end of the pergola, and we're gathering stones about 6 inches around, and so we would love for you to bring those stones so that we can begin building this labyrinth. And then Brian Kurtz, who is the medical intuitive that has written the book that we're sharing in Early Birds, he will be coming here the 21st of June and the 22nd and the 23rd. Wow. For healing sessions. There's a sign-up sheet in the fellowship hall that you can sign up for a healing session with him. The love offering for that is $125. And it is a 90-minute session. So I don't know where else you could receive that service from one who is connected with spirituality and is a medical intuitive. And last but not least is our prayer team. Our prayer team meets every Tuesday at 4:15. At this time, They pray over your prayer requests. They pray with you. So that's a good time for you to just have some quiet time and join with them. Even if you don't have a request at the time, you can join with them as they intercede for others. Okay, so right now we'll have an invocation. This is a good time even for you to put your hand on your own heart, if that feels comfortable for you. Oh, beloved, I am presence. Beloved Mother, Father, God, ascended masters and angels, we welcome you here today. We know that you're here always. We're just taking this opportunity to greet you, to thank you. And our hearts and our minds and our ears are open. And our arms are open to receive today. We give thanks for your presence, and we give thanks for how you minister to all those that are listening right now. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It is with deep gratitude that we receive. Perhaps we've come today feeling that we have some needs, we have some lack. We're just open to receive those places within us that maybe don't feel quite peaceful or settled. But we know the truth is, all is love, and we're open today to be reminded and receive. And so it is. And so now it's time for us to stand, if you would so choose, and to share our opening song, Whisper to My Heart. To my heart, I will hear you. Whisper to my heart, I am listening, God. Like a gentle wind, send your peace to me again. Whisper to my heart. Whisper to my heart, I am open. Whisper to my heart, I am waiting for. Hear it like a gentle dove, sing to me your song of love. Whisper to my heart. Whisper, yes you can, when I falter. Whisper to my faith, go and take a step. Through it be my walking life, cause my trust is in strife. Whisper to my heart. Whisper to my heart. Wonderful. You may be seated. Thank you. So now we'll read together our vision, our mission, and our affirmation. Really feel into the words that you're saying. It's not just a time to recite like it was a poem, but let's feel into it, okay? Our vision: to elevate spiritual consciousness in our world. Our mission: to support individual spiritual quests through celebration, study, counsel, loving fellowship, and service. And our affirmation: may the Mayflowers in full bloom, we know, and unveiling our inner being for all to see. We bravely open our heart so that others may feel the inner love flowing through us from Spirit. And so it is. Doesn't that feel good? This just reminds you that you do come here to be supported, okay? All right. So we're going to be blessed to have Barry. Wow, good. Okay, maybe we could thank him ahead of time. Wonderful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You're such a blessing. He is a faithful one here every Sunday to share with us. And it's not to entertain us. Did you know that? Those notes have a vibration and a frequency and a message in. Ooh, I'm just getting holy goosebumps right now. that minister to you on every level of your life. And it vibrates and it moves around here where we are. And it does the same thing for all of you that are listening. So receive, receive. That's my advertisement. And now, our reading today is taken from This Thing Called You by Ernest Holmes. Seems like this month we're really focusing on the I am that we are. You belong to the universe in which you live. You are one with the creative genius back of this vast array of ceaseless motion, this original flow of life. You are as much a part of it as is the sun, the earth, and the air. There's something in you telling you this, like a voice echoing from some mountaintop or inward vision, like a light whose origin no man has seen, like an impulse welling up from an invisible source. Your soul belongs to the universe. Your mind is an outlet through which the creative intelligence of the universe seeks fulfillment. This is your starting point for investigating the meaning of those impulses, longings, and desires which accompany you through life. You may accept the source through which they come is real. You may accept that the universe is filled with divine and infinite presence, perhaps the infinite yourself. Not the infinite of your limited self, but the infinite of the divine self you must be. There must be a pattern of yourself in the invisible. Just try to catch the larger vision and realize that there have been and are people, many of them, who have wooed and wed some invisible presence until its presence and essence have become woven into the fabric of their own existence. You are to believe with utmost simplicity and with complete faith that there is a pattern of your being or a real spirit of you which is as eternal as God, as indestructible as reality, and as changeless as truth. This pattern is seeking to manifest through you. Back of it is all the will and purpose of the universe, all the irresistible power or laws of being. Finally, it will win. And I would say it is winning, isn't it? Okay. So now it is my pleasure to invite Reverend Kamatara to come and share. Can we welcome her?
Well, good morning, everyone. So I'd like to start by issuing a challenge. I love this book, This Thing Called You. This was my first Science of Mind book, and definitely, a gateway drug. It's a great book. And what I would challenge you to do is to reread this book, and everywhere where it's in second person, change it to first person. And so you might turn into I, or it might turn into me. So I, like all the others, am seeking the joy of living. I wish to be needed, to be loved, to be included in the great drama of life. This urge is in every... So just saying, if you want to have a super powerful experience with this, reread it in the first person. Okay. And also just honoring the synchronicity of today on every level, and naming what that synchronicity really is that one heart, one mind, one love that's expressing as each of us. That the discussion in Early Birds, based on the book that y'all are reading that I forgot you were even reading, and the discussion that happens, and the reading that happens, and the music that happens, that all of that, and the talk that I'm giving, all in perfect alignment. I just love that kind of way that spirit shows up, and that yesterday I was so hoping I would run into Reverend Sandy at the marketplace, and I did. And then we wound up hanging out for a couple hours listening to music and chatting, and then she says, "Oh, the talk that I gave was about finding our authentic selves, and how the divine capital S self cradles the little s self." And I was like, well, guess what I'm talking about today? Trying to see how that divine shines through as our little s selves. So here we go. This is going to be round 2 of this topic, and maybe take it a little more, little further exploration. And so happy to be exploring this with you, my beloved community. You help me feel grounded and tethered in who and what I am. And that's why we're in spiritual community together. And things have been a little untethered and unanchored lately. As some of you know, we are brand new empty nesters, just a month old in the empty nester world. And Ken is stair-stepping his way, my wonderful spouse, to retirement. So the school year is ending, and he's, unplugging and letting go. And that can be really disorienting and confusing. And it's a great time to kind of stop and look around and be like, where am I? Who am I? What is going on here? Who, what? So that's why I've really been into this topic lately. And then, of course, the Science of Mind magazine, the whole topic this month is about finding your authentic self. But of course. So just loving that I'm experiencing this very, very intimately. But it's really time at that moment, and oftentimes, to revisit that inner landscape and really ask that question, who am I? And that's a question that I feel like we are always asking. That question never gets old. It's never really a done deal, as it were. And I do want to honor that in some ways, we each have a fixed set. There are certain characteristics that have just been with us, like, yeah, that's kind of been there. And also, there's the experience of life that we have, that we're always growing, and it's kind of a moving target of who we are. It's a both and. So to get to our core authentic self, we may need to take another look, to take a bigger look, to take a deeper look, and see what that blending is, or that quilt that's been stitched together, or what's being woven together in this moment. And while we're focusing on Ernest Holmes, here's a beautiful quote from Ernest Holmes about this exact thing. He writes, "The road to self-discovery often calls for the clearing away of the underbrush of ignorance, fear, superstition, and a sense of isolation, which has made us feel that we are unworthy, unheld, and lost." I've definitely been feeling that, the whole unworthy, unheld, and lost. Okay. He goes on to write, "In the divine providence of good, salvation is unnecessary, but self-discovery is essential. We do not save that which was lost. We merely discover that which needs to be found." I love that different posture or that different approach. That the process of self-actualization, to use those Maslow terms, the self-actualization, it's not a process where we have to become something new or we have to plug in a specific formula to rid ourselves of the things that we consider undesirable. Instead, it's an uncovering of that which is already present. And you've maybe heard that of, sculptors where they say, yes, here's the stone and the sculpture's already in there. I just have to remove the stuff that's covering it up. It is inherent within. Because as individualized expressions of the one, our journey is to discover that one in us, as us, through us. And then if we could live into that increased awareness of the truth of who and what we are, that's when we're really living from our place of power and joy and letting that light shine that's really in there. That big S self is shining through the little s self. It's all in alignment and power and joy. So it's that whole Shakespeare, to thine own self be true. But how do you know who thyself is? So today we're going to look at 3 ways to know thyself. So the first thing that we could do is to go back to our core, go back to our childhood, those essential elements. Think of you as a little kid and what things were just so you. It's probably not hard to come up with those things. And things that lit you up, things that just made you excited, or things that just came forth so organically. Who knows where they came from? It's so you. Like, it's so Shirley, it's so Judy, it's so Barry. It could be nothing less than that. Okay. So think of those characteristics. And then for some reason, I don't know if you had this experience, but I sure did. I almost got talked out of those things or told to tone it down, put it on the shelf. No, that's not accepted here. So some of those things got boxed up and put away. Some of those things got burnt down. Some of those things kind of got dragged along, or they've been kind of hiding in the wings. And maybe some of you are like, nope, I still got those, and those things are fine, and yep, I got them. That's amazing. Hallelujah. I am so glad. But for a lot of folks, that's not the case. So when I think back to what were my childhood essential elements, I really think back to when I first got to start school. Kindergarten was so exciting for me. First off, I got to be around people because I grew up on a little tiny farm in the middle of nowhere, Wisconsin, so mostly it was animals. So when I finally got to be with people, it was so exciting. I know, I love people. And also learning, oh my gosh, learning was so exciting. I love learning, and I love language, which I know you know, because I love wordplay and how words come together, and they can be so powerful and imaginative, and it just felt so magical. I was in my element. And I have to say, that's really followed me my whole life. I've always been in professions or in situations where there are lots of people. I am always learning, and I'm always using language. So I hold on to that. So just take a moment to recap in your head. What are those childhood core essential elements? You've got them in your hand now. And we're going to put them in our pocket. Okay, we're going to hold on to that for later. All right, so here's a second way to know yourself. I want you to consider what has shifted over the years. Things that you've maybe grown out of and things that you've grown into. Like stuff you wouldn't have seen coming as a child. There's no way you could have seen it, but you've had the life experiences that you've had, and now you have grown into this deepened sense of self or this characteristic, this quality that you didn't have before, but wow, it is so yours that only you could bring because of the experiences you have and the skills you have. It's so you. Okay, take a moment to think about that. What comes forth when you think of yourself that way? When I think about how I've grown and shifted and things I've grown into, for me, the thing that comes to mind is how I've grown into my name. So my birth name is Paula, and it's a beautiful name, and I'm named after my grandpa, which is just wonderful. And I grew up in a very unstable alcoholic house. And as maybe some of you have experienced, oftentimes your name gets shouted and screamed, and it precedes the trauma that you're just about to experience. And so it almost becomes a curse word, or it becomes a swear, like it's really charged. And so even though I love that, and I didn't understand any of this until, much later in life, but it was really charged. And then as I was on my practitioner training path, I was taking the class Roots, which is offered by Centers for Spiritual Living. It's an amazing class. You see where Science of Mind came from, and you get to study some classics like Emerson and Troward and Emma Curtis Hopkins, and oh my gosh, it's so profound. And I was with Reverend Ginger. She's an amazing woman. And also on the side, I was reading, of course, Ram Dass, Living the Bhagavad Gita, and I was reading Paramahansa Yogananda's autobiography of a yogi. I don't know why. It's where I was at. And so in this nexus of all that's going on, I'm in this class and we do this meditation, and I hear myself being called this name. It feels like a thing. I don't know. So being the good researcher that I was, when the class was over, I went to my, laptop and started researching. And I come to find out that in Sanskrit, Kamatara means shining love. Kama means love and Tara means shining. And it felt like such a gift of the spirit that even though it took outrageous gobs of courage to say to people, I would like to be called this spiritual name. And certainly it brought up lots of drama because I found out what people need my name to be and who they need me to be so their life makes sense. It was a really interesting dynamic. But bless the people in my life, I started to be called Kamatara. And what's wonderful about that is that every time someone says my name, it reminds me who I'm called to be. It's an aspirational name. It fits me better. Why I'm here on earth, because I have grown into understanding the concept of conscious evolution. And it is my joy to assist other people to evolve consciously and to own their power and to shine their light, to be that shining love. And the name Paula actually means small one. And that doesn't fit anymore. So it's a huge blessing to recognize, okay, my authentic self is shining, is loving, and is consciously evolving and assisting others to do the same. So that is now part of my little combo package of my essential self. So take a moment to think about what you have grown into that is your essential self. And just go ahead and put that mentally in your hand. Okay, we're going to put that in the other pocket. Okay, we're going to hold on to that for later. All right, here's a third way to get to know yourself. I truly challenge you to take another look. The things the stories you tell about yourself, the things you just swear are so you, there's a stack of Bibles and you're like, oh yeah, that is me. Guess what? That might not be true. There's all different ways that you could have it reflected back to you who you truly are. Maybe you have a trusted friend, a minister, a counselor, a practitioner, someone that really knows you. You might be able to reflect that back. Another way that's really interesting to take another look at yourself is to do a personality inventory. The Myers-Briggs is always fascinating. When you get the letters, the E, N, J, F, P, whatever, that is fascinating. I've done that at multiple points in my life and seeing my growth and how I shift. It's fascinating. Or maybe some of you have done the Enneagram. That's really fascinating, where you answer the questions and it gives you a number and it gives you kind of a character, and it tells you things that are, these are your strong suits, these are things that are kind of tricky for you. And then it also gets into different ways that you might deepen and develop yourself. So the Enneagram is fascinating. So I just encourage you, take another look. When I think of what the one of my ministers, Reverend Martha Quintana, used to say, she had 4 little zingers, provocations that she used to say. And she used to say, give up what you think it should look like. Give up what you think you know. Give up what you think it means. And give up who you think you are. And then you might be just about where you are. And so I think sometimes I'll just say I hold on to who I think I am with such a death grip. And then I have these experiences that shake me up, and my hands open and my heart opens and my eyes open, and I go, oh, that's not true. Maybe that's not my story. And the way I learned that actually was with the Enneagram, because however many years ago, a beautiful community member at Rio Grande Center for Spiritual Living did an Enneagram workshop, and I took the Enneagram, and I came back as a 2, which, if you know the Enneagram, that is the caregiver. And so it was a big pat on the back, like, oh yes, I'm being exactly what society says I should be as a woman. I'm a mother and a caregiver and a teacher and a practitioner, and aren't I wonderful? And so I just thought that was fantastic, like, yes, I'm a caregiver. And then when I got into ministerial school, my very wise mentor minister, Reverend Dr. Tony Lamata, whoo, is she a spicy meatball. She said, all right, y'all are getting to know yourselves better, because now you've gone through practitioner training and you're going through ministerial school, and it is the crucible. You go through the fire, absolutely. Take the Enneagram again. And it's not, they say with the Enneagram, you are what you are. It doesn't change. But what does change is my understanding of myself. And I didn't realize that until I took it a second time. And guess what? I was not a number 1 or number 2, which is the caregiver. I was actually a number 1, which is the reformer, the person who's all about social justice and conscious evolution and speaking up when things are wrong. And also, oh my gosh. And then I looked at my life and went, wow, that makes so much more sense. It's almost like they had a candid camera of me and then wrote the description. I was like, this is crazy. And the shadow sides, things that I've never been willing to admit about myself, boom, and there they were. Wow, I learned so much when I took another look. And then I could honor how I'm showing up as love in action when it comes to equity work and social justice and goodness and people living their best lives and supporting each other to love each other, that I'm, on a mission. Wow, it made so much more sense. So I really challenge you, take another look at who you think you are and just hold it gently, because some of it is core and it may not change, but some of it, it's a moving target, and it absolutely could be changing even now, no matter how old or young you are. Even now, changing, growing, always open at the top. So here's the challenge for the week. Really pull out what's in both your pockets now, and really, and when you get home, maybe take another look at who you think you are and hold all that together. Maybe it's great to journal about it, pull it all together and see it all on one page. And then I double dare you to pull out your calendar. Look at your schedule and just see, are you scheduling your authentic self first? Because if your calendar reflects your authentic self, you're probably feeling life is really good and it's satisfying, and you're happy to get out there and do the things you're doing. If your calendar does not reflect your authentic self, whoa, that's where it's explosive. Life doesn't feel good. It's not satisfying. Oh, I have to do this. This is there's a huge disconnect, because you're not being able to shine forth that capital S divine self through your little s self. So I really want you to consider, are you scheduling your authentic self first? When I look at my love of people and learning and language and conscious evolution and owning my power and then assisting other people to do the same and holding that in a social justice kind of way in the world, that's most of my calendar. So can I be happy with that? Can I be satisfied? Can I say, yes, I have arrived. This is it. And allow myself to be happy and joyful in that, to recognize that, because this journey calls us to explore the depths of our being and to untangle the layers of identity and to recognize what beliefs no longer serve our best and highest good, and also to hold on to what is serving us and what is our grand authentic self. So it's untangling and it's cultivating, because that's when we can embrace our transformative potential that lies within. And then with each discovery, we can take steps towards living from our own authenticity. And then when we do that, as I live from my own place of authenticity, I give other people permission to do the same. And wouldn't that be amazing to all be consciously, courageously, and confidently showing up as our divine selves, living from that place of power and shining that light, being that kind of love in action together. So go ahead and say that with me. I am conscious, courageous, and confident. I am conscious, courageous, and confident in my divine self. In my divine self. All right, that's a good affirmation for the week. I am conscious, courageous, and confident in my divine self. And so it is. Let's take this to prayer. Recognizing that presence of the one loving source, that one heart, that one mind that seems like synchronicity, but really it's evidence of the divine that is in each one of us, in our lives, in our experiences, in our relationships. This is where the divine shows up to be known. The infinite divine that has all the characteristics and qualities and bounty and abundance that meets all of our needs. This is the presence of the one loving source. And so I recognize that I am that which thou art, and thou art that which I am. And you are, and we are, and all the pronouns and verbs, we could play that game all day long. It's that one loving source expressing in all of life as we know it and even beyond what we can understand. And so I take a moment to honor the journey that each of us is on, as we each recognize the expression of that one loving source as ourselves, as I recognize the presence expressing as me. And I reconnect, I plug back in to the truth of my being, that I am an expression of the divine, and that all the things that are essentially me and all the ways I'm growing in that expression, that is the divine showing up. That is the divine in action. And it's so bountiful and so blessed. And so I claim for each person here the capacity to recognize how the divine shows up as us and to allow that light to shine, unhindered, unimpeded, to not tone it down, put it on a shelf, box it, ignore it. No. To let that light shine, that authentic self, that big S self shining through our little S self so beautifully. So this week, I know that your childhood essential self and your grown into essential self And that take another look. All those insights weave together to make the sacred being that each one of us is, and that this is the fulfillment of the divine in each one of us. And so I savor that fulfillment, that sense of rightness, of alignment with the divine, of that power that flows through that alignment. And I'm so grateful. I'm grateful for this beautiful spiritual community where we can come together to do our work, to remember who and what we are, and to know the truth for each other when we may forget it for ourselves. I know that Wellspring is truly blessed. I know that each one of us is truly blessed by each other and by the divine expressing as ourselves. So knowing that all is in perfect alignment with the divine, I let it go and let it be. And so it is.
That is truly awesome. Takes us to another place, doesn't it? And yet brings all of us back together again. Thank you, thank you. I think maybe we could thank him and Reverend Kamatara again. And so now it's time for us to share our personal gifts. And if you'll come forward, dear Judy, thank you. We give thanks for all of these gifts that we have received today and those that we have received virtually. And we love to share, so part of our gifts today will go out into the community and help others. Thank you for giving, and know that you will be abundantly blessed for all that you give and you receive as well. And so it is. Thank you, Judy. Thank you for all that you do. Well, there are a number of people today that have contributed to make this wonderful gathering possible. We thank you, Reverend Kamatara and Barry, and we thank you, Sharon, and we thank you, Edwin and Brenda, and we thank all of you that have come because you have been a part of this service as well. And we thank you for joining us on Zoom and by recording. And you may continue to be on Zoom for a while and chat with each other. And those of you that are here today, we invite you to come over to the fellowship hall and share some time together with conversation, maybe some coffee, whatever, okay? Okay, so now it's time for us to stand and share our benediction and then to hold hands and sing the peace song. Spirit in the midst of us is mighty. Joy, peace, and eternal life are our true nature and flow through us into the world, and so it is.